Welcome back. You know, sometimes a renter can skip out or worse, leave a property really trashed. So what can an owner do when this happens? We have Lindsay Blackburn and Chilton Stone who join us now from Island Realty with some really useful information on the legal options available. Welcome back. Great to have you. Now, you know, a lot of people here, they rent properties. You have a lot of property owners, so that's what we're going to address today. But if a tenant doesn't pay rent or even the damages associated with that, then what happens?
Okay, well, unfortunately, a lot of times a rental lease can end badly.
Yeah.
So the owner needs to know what steps to take. As property managers, we know what the process is and we're very familiar with it, so we can get through it as quickly as possible and mitigate the financial loss to the owners as much as possible.
Okay, so let's say someone skips out on their lease and they don't pay their rent. I mean, what happens then?
Well, typically in South Carolina, in a standard lease, your rent is due on the 1st.
Right.
If you don't pay it by the 5th, they give you a 5-day grace period, and the property manager, the landowner, can go and file for eviction if they haven't paid for the rent.
Really?
And it costs $40 to file for eviction. You serve the papers to the magistrate's court, your local magistrate, wherever the property is located, and the magistrate will have a constable go out and serve the tenant the eviction notice.
Okay. So now I imagine that some people will pay their rent by the 1st, or maybe by the 5th. You would hope that, but then there are those cases where they don't.
Yes, they don't. So once you file for eviction, sometimes the tenants will then pay.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. So you have to wait 10 days, and then you can file for a writ of eviction.
Okay.
And then once that's done, that costs $10, and they have 48 hours to move out. And if they don't move out within 48 hours, then you go back to the magistrate and you file for a physical put out, and then you can physically remove their belongings to the nearest curb and take possession of the home.
And I think sometimes people may have seen that. It's like, man, why is the furniture out on the curb? So 9 times out of 10, that's what happened.
Yes.
Now, but that sounds kind of complicated for a property owner to try to kind of navigate that, though. Right?
It is. There are very specific steps to go to, and each one takes a specific amount of time. So you don't want to let it slip past you and wait until, say, the 15th day to go back.
Right.
Because that's just 5 extra days that they're living in your house without paying you money. So.
Right, and you're still sitting there like, pay me my money. Okay, well, what if a tenant moves out at the end of their lease, but they leave a lot of damage behind and owing, oftentimes the owner money, or maybe their deposit didn't pay for all of that? What can they do then?
So if that happens, the landlord wants to keep good records of everything. We keep strict records of everything from the beginning of the rent, from the beginning of the lease period when they come in and sign everything.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you take pictures of everything when they come in. Then you want to make sure you got pictures of everything at the end so you can compare and show.
Yeah.
You want to kind of prepare a file at the very beginning, almost like you're going to court, because you always want to be prepared.
I watch judge shows and I've seen that happen. It's like, well, can you show me a picture of what it looked like beforehand? So you really want to.
Pictures are very valuable.
Right, because you hate to kind of go into a situation thinking that, but if you're a property owner, then you have to kind of think that way to make sure that all your bases are covered, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you think like you're going to court from the beginning of the lease, then your records will be very thorough, very complete. You'll have everything documented. Never make a rash decision.
Yeah.
Always stop and think, how legally am I doing this in accordance with the Landlord-Tenant Act?